Hey, today I'm coming at you with some tough love about boundaries. So, if you're a people pleaser and you're struggling with setting boundaries, you really need to listen today because I've helped hundreds of clients heal from their divorce. And it really does start with this first step. First off, if you are a people pleaser, look, I'm not shaming you. I don't want to add any more negativity to the shame you're already feeling because I understand it's a coping mechanism. It was a survival mechanism. But when you're ready to step out of that and you're ready to step into your confidence, though, here's the key. You have to make the conscious decision that I am ready to accept responsibility for my choices. Because, listen, honestly, it is much easier to stay the victim than it is to take responsibility for creating the life that you want. And it means accepting responsibility for the choices. And you're going to have to deal with rejection, negativity, people not liking you, people talking about you. It's way harder to deal with those consequences of speaking our truth and saying what we want, saying what we need, than it is to just give in and do what others want and live the way others want us to live. But when you do, you're unstoppable. And the thing is, as long as you're continuing to people please, you got to understand you're benefiting from this. It doesn't feel that way. I know internally it feels like, what do you mean I'm benefiting from this? I feel like shit all the time. I feel used, I feel taken advantage of. But the truth is, it's because you're gaining that outward validation, that outward, that fear of abandonment, that fear of rejection. If you can get the acceptance from others, if you don't, if you aren't being judged harshly by other people, ah, they like me, they accept me. That's just those old abandonment wounds of needing to be accepted by other people. But as long as you're doing that, you're denying your own self and your own needs and what you need. And when you do that, the thing is, resentment starts to build. I've seen people become two things, right? They become very resentful and they become passive aggressive, or they just blow up and become very volatile very suddenly. So, yeah, it's easier to acquiesce and just go along with the show and just go along with whatever they want and just keep the peace, right? But you can only walk on eggshells so long and then you break, right? I'm sure you've been there. I was just talking with a client this morning, and she's doing a lot of the inner work and recognizing how her defensiveness has shown up in her work with her soon to be ex husband, with a family member. And then the family member is also pushing against her boundaries too. And, luckily she's done enough of the inner work to be able to communicate those boundaries in a loving way and know that this is what's best for her, right? And when you step into that confidence, you actually become better for other people because you've all been around someone and that person, like, where you stand with that person, what their values are, what they will and will not accept. We feel very secure in those types of people, around those people, because we know, oh my god, I know what to expect around this person. But someone who's like wishy-washy and you never know what to expect, and then all of a sudden they explode on you. But you said last week you would go and host the party, and then now this week you're turning around and saying you won't, blah blah blah. So, you know, when you step into that confidence, you're a different person, and those around you are different. And who you attract becomes even different. And so, as you are developing this new chapter post divorce, this is the time to reconnect with who you are. This is the time to reconnect and redefine what your values are, what your expectations are, what your boundaries are. And remember, boundaries are not for other people. They're about what we will and will not tolerate, right? And you got to be very clear. For me, I talk about my time boundaries. I very strict time boundaries, very firm time boundaries. That's one of the areas of my life that I adhere to, and people know that about me. I've even and when I joined this recent group, this divorce professional group, they know that about me. They know where I stand. They know that it better be important if I'm going to give up time with my children and time with my client, right? So they appreciate that. They appreciate where I stand with that. There's no wishy-washiness, and like, people really appreciate that about you because it makes them feel secure in themselves to be around a secure person. So, as you are reflecting, redefining who you are, redefining what your values are, then you got to start to communicate those boundaries. And again, at first, this is very uncomfortable. Communication and just saying, oh, I apologize that I would have allowed that in the past, but moving forward, I no longer will be accepting phone calls past 5 p.m. or whatever. It's just an example of a boundary. But again, this is about you communicating what you will and will not tolerate. And then, following through on those boundaries. The biggest myth and the biggest thing that I see about boundaries out there in the world is how set those boundaries, set those boundaries. That's like such bullshit, because unless you've done the inner work to own your own self-worth, you really will not follow through on those boundaries, because the minute you get pushback, oh, I'm uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable. I can't stand this. I can't stand the rejection. I can't stand their judgment. So and so's talking about me. I better just do what they tell me to do, or I better stop, because you can't accept that negativity from outside sources because you're not really staying true to your own power. But once you unconditionally accept and love yourself, then doesn't matter what anyone else thinks about me. Doesn't matter what anyone else says about me. And they want to drag my name through the mud all over town. Have fun. Go get dirty. I don't give a shit, right? So it really is so empowering when you know who you are and you're communicating that. It's not only just empowering for you, it's empowering for other people. You have to be ready and willing to make that conscious decision. Okay, I'm ready to deal with those consequences. I'm ready to handle the discomfort that's going to come along. I can do it. I can do it. And you can. You can. Sometimes it's just a matter of having that accountability partner, to help you push along and know it's okay. You got this. You can do it. And so we're going to be talking about that even more so, and the 3 keys to healing from divorce, along with stepping into your true power, finding your confidence so that you can set really firm, healthy boundaries in this next chapter, and redefining who you are, knowing who you are, finding out how to let go of that baggage so that you are your fully aligned, confident, fun, healthy self moving forward. And then that's when you'll be able to attract and create those healthy relationships in this next chapter. So if you want to know more about that, I'm happy to share the details. Just reach out to me or hashtag yes below, and I'll reach out and we'll talk about the details of that class that I have coming up. All right. All right. Have a fantastic week. Can't wait to talk more about boundaries.